Welcome to Recover, brought to you by Healthcare Alliance North America.
I'm doing it. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off. Guys, hello. Welcome to Recover. I'm your host this afternoon. My name is James Byous, and we're sitting down with Lucy H. We're going to be talking about early recovery. So early recovery, for a lot of us, is it can be quite difficult because we have no idea what we like to do for fun. Drugs and alcohol are off the table, so now we got to feel our feelings. It can be pretty tough.
Yeah.
Do you have strong memories of early recovery?
Early recovery, no, I mean, for sure, getting your feelings back is very overwhelming. We've talked about this before, but I'm kind of like a paranormal dork. And I like to think of myself as a haunted house where like I had all these ghosts that I was like numbing out for a long time. And then like as soon as I wasn't numb anymore, they were like, you're going to listen to our stories.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. So, I mean, definitely feeling your feelings again, but also your day just looks so much different. Yeah. Because you have it. You have the whole day.
Yeah, the whole day's there. You're going to be there for every minute of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I've equated it to being like time got longer.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, but also it's not as boring. Like when I was in active addiction, I knew how every day was going to start, how every day was going to end. And in recovery, I can do anything with my day. And I tend to do a lot with my days. Even if something I do is like take a nap. Sure. You take that for granted. Like I could never nap in active addiction, no matter how tired I was. And I was tired.
Right.
So.
I know. I'd be super tired. I'd like go to bed, pass out in bed, you know.
Not hit REM.
No. And then wake up and not be able to go back to sleep.
Worse.
You know.
Worse.
No rest.
No
rest for the wicked. So. I don't know about you, but. So. What about like relationships and early recovery? Not and I don't mean romantic ones. Like I didn't know how to do a relationship. I had to learn that from scratch, basically.
Well, this is like everybody's different. For me, like part of being an active addiction is wearing a lot of masks. And like I said, I was tired, like not just needed a nap. Like I was so tired. I didn't have the energy to be fake anymore. Yeah. And I also really didn't have the energy to worry about if people were going to like me, luckily. And so I just kind of showed up as myself. Like, and that's something that coming into recovery gave me is like, I can start with whatever I know I am right now. Yeah. And I've built some of the most genuine relationships. I can't even begin to say how lucky I've been for the people that it's not like they were waiting for me to get clean. They were like waiting on the path for me to be able to meet them so that we could both all show up for each other. I know that was like a lot, like I wouldn't be anywhere without my network.
And did you start building that network in early recovery?
I did reluctantly. I had, somebody who I looked up to greatly and who was supposed to sort of like guide me into like a recovery coach. And I had all these ideas, like business plans, and they were like, yeah, so let's start with a network. And I was like, no, wait, I need to get a copyright, like I didn't know anything. And she's like one of my best friends and one of my sponsee sisters today. So yeah.
How much of recovery did you want to do alone at the beginning?
For me, I've always had like this weird piece of me that's felt like a burden. I don't know if it's like from being the baby of 4 and like the last one, like we got to do it one more time. And then like, I really threw some Hail Marys. I definitely put some gray hairs on my parents. So I just naturally want to do things very independently, and recovery is just not one of those things you can do. Right. Even if you try to, like people are going to reach out to you just to see how you're doing, and it's very bizarre.
Yeah, it's hard to get used to at first, right?
Definitely.
You're like, people are asking you for your phone number, and not because they're like, being weird. They just like, it's like part of the deal. We gotta like
look out.
Yeah, we gotta look out for each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very averse to that whole thing at first. I'm like, no, I don't. no, let's not, but on this go around, like when I got sober in 2017, I was like, okay, what? Yes, take my number. Everybody take it.
Whatever
everyone
y'all say.
Call me, whatever you want to do,
Sorry, I'm scratching. Sorry if that annoys y'all. I had an
Scratch
itch.
away.
I had an itch.
Scratch
So
away.
jeez, this is me.
This is me. I am not wearing a mask anymore.
No. So, and I totally forgot what I was gonna say, but it was
giving people their numbers, me giving out mine, taking people's numbers.
you thought that was gonna work, and it just didn't. I'm unmedicated ADD, so it's fine.
Yeah, me too.
Don't worry, I'll blurt it out at like 3 a.m. tonight.
Perfect.
Which I'll be sleeping.
Perfect.
So.
Yeah, but you'll be in REM sleep.
Yes. Love that.
Thank goodness. See, bringing it all back around.
Should I sit?
I don't know. Does it hurt to sit the way you were sitting?
No, I just feel I'm like.
You're like.
Okay.
Don't
it's
look
fine.
at me. Look at me. Don't look at me.
Don't look at me. Where were we?
We were talking about how relationships in recovery are basically everything.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I was going to say. I will say I still live alone and I like to live alone, but it was very trippy. Like my first couple of times, like, because early recovery is so busy, especially if like your part of your story is going to treatment like mine, because I had treatment, then I did sober living and I was in an IOP program. If you don't know what that is, it's like a step down from a typical treatment where you live elsewhere, but you still come to that facility to take groups, and they're shorter. I had to go to meetings for where I lived. I had an individual therapist. Then I started working. So life was like super busy. But the first time I like really got to chill out and have a Netflix day, it almost felt uncomfortable, because that's exactly what I used to do in active addiction. Every day was Netflix day, Netflix and disappear day. But I do know, like, I'll catch myself now, like, hey, it doesn't feel right today. I should probably go see anybody. Mm-hmm. Even if it's like go to the store just to be around humans for a second, because I just, it's very weird. Like, I need my alone time. I've always been that way, but at the same time, like, I really need connection.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's easier for me to advocate for my alone time, or historically, than it is for me to advocate for, I think I need to go out and just be amongst people. Mm-hmm. But thankfully, like I said, having a recovery community, they're going to call me. They're going to be like, I haven't heard from you in a while. What are you doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But on those days, I've been getting better at being like, you know what? I need to call somebody. I'm going to call somebody and see how they're doing,
It's weird. Like, I remember because when people started calling me, just like, hey, I was just calling to check in on you, which is like so bizarre when you're in early recovery. But like, those people kept doing it until like you were saying, I hadn't heard from them in a minute. I'm like, it's probably my turn, so I'll just reach out and touch base with them. And oftentimes enough, they need it the most. Like, that's what I mean, we always know that, like, the people that lift people up the most are typically the ones that need lifting themselves. Just like, people who are always cheering people on or yada yada yada, it's because they don't want people to feel the way they're feeling.
Right.
So
yeah, something that you said earlier really jumped back out at me just now. When you said I didn't want to be a burden on people with my feelings.
Yeah.
Like in the past, because addiction is such a disease of isolation. I would frequently be out amongst people, but I was living in my own universe. You know? But like, if I had a bad day, or if I was dealing with, some sort of something that I deemed untenable or overwhelming to the point of I don't want to be dealing with this, I would get high or drunk, and it would immediately go away for that brief period of time. I would get it right. I would get a brief respite. But, the other day, and this is a new behavior, even 4 years into it, it still feels, 4.5 years into it still feels like relatively new to me. I had a bad day, and I was kind of going through something, and I called one of my friends in recovery just to be like, you know what, I'm having a rough day. Can we just chat? And wouldn't you know it, like magic, it did make me feel better. Like by the end of the conversation, we're laughing, we're reminiscing, it's like, it's counterintuitive to people like us who really want alone time, that talking to someone else, because I am an introvert, as much as I'm a performer and I get up in front of people for a living, like I am an introvert. I require alone time in order to feel whole.
Yeah.
It's counterintuitive, but like me reaching out to those people is the medicine that I need, you know?
Well, also, I mean, I know for me, and I was just thinking like, I have a few people that reach out to me quite often, and I always feel better after I talk to them. So really, maybe it's not a burden. It's like if I were to reach out to somebody, it kind of takes their mind off their own stuff for a second.
Yeah.
Recovery is a constant learning.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. How long has it been now for you?
15 months.
15 months.
Wait, 16.
16.
I hit 18 in July.
Cool. Right on.
It's almost June, guys.
Yeah, it's almost.
If I'm lucky, I will hit 18 months in July.
Right.
So.
God willing, and the creek don't rise.
Day at a time.
Right. That's a big deal, man. That's awesome. And
thank you.
What are some of the things that you've become passionate about in your recovery, like new hobbies or old hobbies that you rediscovered? I noticed that you know, because we're friends on Facebook, I check out your dance videos from time to time and stuff, you know.
I've gotten back into that a lot. I used to, life would just lead me into dance somehow. Like I didn't grow up dancing or anything, but a lot of my 20s were spent dancing and teaching dance. And after just some specific trauma happening to me, I really lost touch with my body, and like my brain really warped what it was that I loved to do, and then it warped into you don't deserve to do what you love to do, and
How did you work through that stuff?
I did not. I ended up in treatment. It was absolutely the most miserable. It was like being dead while alive. Like it'd be like telling a dog it can't bark. You know, it's just something that like it or wag its tail. It's
or
like
a bird you can't fly.
Yeah. It's just something that was so good for my mental health. And when I could say the like universe took it away from me, but I don't really know without it, I was spiritually dead. I had nothing to be passionate about. I really care about my health and wellness, and I was sedentary for like 4 years, which is just like I've grown up always a mover, and this is going in a way different. Okay, so I got back into dance finally, but it took me a long time, and I don't know if Harrison's going to be in this video, but if you watch or listen to Recover, you know who Harrison is. When he came and did my first interview, and I had to show him my dance studio room, and he was like, oh, well, let's get some shots of you in it. I actually credit to him that I started dancing again, because like once there was proof that I had that room to everybody else and I wasn't using it, like now I use it, and it's like the best medicine for me ever. But another thing I'm passionate about is like actually talking about recovery. Anything. Say something right quick because I'm talking really long.
Okay.
Okay, my turn again. So I heard something the other day that was like, you'll find your passion where the wound is. And that really hit me because something that kept me from coming into recovery a lot or for a long time is that I knew once I came into it, I was going to be very passionate about it. So like once I started, there was no going back. And I have this huge wound and this huge scar from what active addiction did to me. So I think it's really important for people to talk about, especially younger people, because I've said this in another thing, they don't depict addicts or alcoholics or any they don't depict that as people in their teens, not their 20s, not their 30s. It's always like some old person. And I think it's really important for people to know that they're not alone. People that are younger. Yeah. I mean, everybody needs to know they're not alone, but like, it's just very blasphemous for younger folk.
Yeah. It can be hard to identify with like, because we have this idea of this grizzled old dude at an AA meeting or something as being what an alcoholic is. They just lost their kids,
living in a van down by the river.
Right, but it's teenagers too. You know? Like the disease does not discriminate based on age by any means. And I was actually talking to Harrison in our little interview about how, someone suggested to me that I go to AA when I was 21, and I was like, dude, I'm 21. Of course I'm drinking too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're out of your mind. I went, thank goodness, and started, planting those seeds, I guess, but yeah, there's a little bit of a lack of representation for people that are young.
Yeah.
And I think that, young people need to have their voices heard too in this whole thing. It's tough, man. It's tough for young kids, man. Because it's like, I think that a lot of them think that exploring the use of drugs and alcohol is like a part of, it's almost like a rite of passage to them.
I would agree with that.
And so they don't want to give it up until they feel like they've done their time. But the thing is, they could fucking die. You know what I mean?
Especially nowadays, it's so scary out there. Like, if I was a kid, like in these days. Yeah. I mean, like a kid, like what? There was like a 12-year-old that ate a gummy and died because it was laced
with what?
Fent.
Yeah, some fentanyl.
Like it's. I'll say it, like there used to be that joke that was like, Dare had me thinking way too many people were going to offer me free drugs, but now they're like literally putting free drugs that will kill you and stuff, and that's very, very scary.
Yeah, and offering them to you without your permission or knowledge.
Been there. Good times.
Mm. Well, yeah, and I think that if I had been using now and not, in like the mid 2000s, that the chances of me dying would have been a lot more.
Yeah.
I mean, I've lost so many people within the last few years to this disease, that I really cared about.
Oh yeah.
And it's heartbreaking, and it's scary. Every time that it happens, it's like, man, that,
so unnecessary.
So unnecessary. And you think like that person could be alive right now. We could be talking right now. Could be hanging out with them, and they're just gone forever just because, some jerk fuck decided to put some fentanyl in something where it didn't belong.
Yeah. It's so unfair for everybody that gets affected by it.
Yeah. And what, what do you feel like? I apologize if this sounds ignorant, but what is it like to be a woman in recovery in Asheville and in North Carolina? What's it like to be a woman in recovery in general? Is it do you feel like it comes with like its own pitfalls that you feel like maybe you want to like speak to so that other young women in recovery have some forewarning?
Being a woman in recovery feels a lot like when you started puberty and boys started noticing you, because they don't have anything else to do,
right?
But look at girls,
right?
I don't want to throw. I mean, I'm not gonna like filter all men, but
right.
I will say that's boys, not the men.
Fair enough.
But I don't know, like, and really sex addiction is a whole nother thing, but I think that you have like the easiest distraction right there in meetings being co-ed, and like it's not just men. It's okay, so I take it back. It's like being in middle school when everybody started puberty.
Right.
Because that's like the safest thing,
right,
to distract yourself with.
Right. And girls look at boys too, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I rephrased.
Right.
Not me though. I'm perfect.
So, given that, early recovery is often like a bunch of people going through puberty in middle school, what's some advice that you would give like a young person in recovery, a young woman?
Well, I don't think anybody comes into recovery on like a winning streak.
Right.
And I know for me, I think that you attract what you are. And I did not want to attract somebody until I felt I was the version of myself that was worth sharing with somebody.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think anybody who is really aware and on on the level that they need to be in order to, succeed at that point. I don't think anybody should deny another person the right to unpack their stuff and put it down for a second before they throw wrenches in their plans.
Right.
But as far as far as it just being new in recovery, where we're talking about Ricky Bobby and Talladega Nights. I don't know what to do with my hands. Yeah, you just gotta find out what you like to do with your hands. For real, you need to do something. Like, whether it's like make a recipe, start dancing, start playing soccer again, whatever it is that you do.
Pick up your guitar.
Pick up your guitar.
Pick up your easel and paint.
Work on your Britney Spears impressions.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah. So, but continue working on yourself. I think that I'll never fully know myself because I'm not gonna be who I was yesterday tomorrow.
Right.
So it's actually pretty exciting.
So give yourself the time to get to know yourself, figure out what you want to do with your hands, make something, learn to have relationships that are not like purely sex-based and
manipulative or self-gaining.
Right.
So
here we are. That's what I want to do with my hand. Shake your hand.
There you go. We found something to do with it.
There you go. Thank you guys for joining us today. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. That really helps us bring it home, and we can keep on giving you this great recovery-based content. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Recover. Make sure to like and subscribe for more podcasts and videos on addiction and recovery. For more information about Healthcare Alliance North America, visit hcana.com.